Our next lesson in Adobe Illustrator on Activity 5 on page 58 is we're going to learn about gradients in Illustrator. We're on page 58. A gradient is a fill created from gradations of one or more colors. Let's open up Adobe Illustrator. Let's File, New. And we're going to create a 400 by 400 document. So width 400, height 400. And we are going to name this Gradients. Gradients. And click OK. So we got an empty artboard here. Gradients can add rich color detail or a three-dimensional look to an object. To get the gradient palette so we can set the gradient the way we like it, we're going to choose Window Gradient. The symbol in the toolbar over here is right there. So Window Gradient. Now we have two different types. We have linear, which is going from one side to the next, from one color to the next. It displays from one side of an object to another. It displays top to bottom, side to side, or diagonally. And you can even adjust the angle. We also have radial gradient, and it radiates outward from the center. In this assignment, it says we're going to choose between two types of gradients. Linear blends one color into another from one side to the other. Radial blends one color into another from the center out. You can use the sliders in the gradient palette to make changes to overall appearances of the gradient. So here are the sliders. Now I can double click on this and I could change that to blue. I could click on here. I could change that, double click, and I can change that to orange. Now you can slide it and you get a preview of how it looks. I can also click and add another slider, which I could insert another color, and you could have a whole rainbow full of effects. Now if I don't want as much black, I could change the opacity down to 20%, and it kind of makes it a little transparent right there. We are going to apply gradient to a shape in the artboard. Let's go ahead and click on this, press M to get a rectangle. I already got a gradient selected in the color picker, so it went ahead and applied. Let's say I didn't do that. I'm going to click on here and choose green. If I want it, I just select this, click on the gradient, and it applies. Experiment with playing around, adding more colors. Now I have this selected, so it's changing it as I go. Now if you want to take one out, you just click and drag it down. Click and drag it down, it goes away. Drag it to the edge. There you go. Now you can delete a stop, or Command Z and undo and add it back. If I want it to change to radial, there you go. It does the same thing from the center out. Create at least 5 different shapes with 5 different gradients. Some gradients should be radial and some should be linear. Some should be one color and some should be more than one color. And save it as gradients.ai. So let's create 5 different shapes. And you also have some different types of gradients to choose from. Command click here. You also have, let me remind you, that you have swatches and you have a gradient libraries. So you can do spectrums. Or you could do gradients, metals. So experiment, make some gradients of your own, use some swatches, play around. So you can take a look at this one, how that's made. You can play around with it, make it your own. Create 5 different gradients, some radial, some linear. Practice with that. Save it as gradients.ai. So File, Save As. Go to your 4-6 weeks folder in your period last name Illustrator folder, Gradients. Click Save. OK, and that is it. And just close it down, and that is all.
Thank you all for watching.
Hey class, if you like this video, please click like below and subscribe to this channel. Also, like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.